So for step 10, the differential unit 1, well, this is where we're going to work on the first side of this unit, and we've got to put in our ball bearings. There's a pinion, bevel gear, and then these pieces, just like we did with the motor mount, are the pieces that we're going to need to lock onto this with this C1 clip. Because again, if we wanted to change the configuration of the car, we're going to need to pop these off so we can get the differential out. Anyways, there are the pieces that we need. We've got our bearings, the shafts, etc. So I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So the first thing we're going to do with this step is we're going to put in the ball bearings. Now, if these were the plastic bushings, they're showing you putting the grease in. For me, if we're replacing them with the ball bearings, I don't put the grease in. So we just need to push these into place. There we go. One on the bottom there and one right there. So now that those are in, we're going to slide this pin through, or input shaft as they're calling it. And then when it comes to the outside, it's showing that we need to put in one of these shafts. Now it does show to grease it up, and makes sense because what they're wanting to do is make sure that it doesn't pop out. So I'm going to put a bit of grease there and we will slide it through, and I'm going to hold this in with my index finger. I'm going to slide that through there, just like that. So once the shaft is in, you're going to want to slide this piece on over top, just like that, so that it fits on like that. Now, again, we have this C1 piece, and the reason being is, I mean, obviously I can pull this off at any point, but that C1 piece is going to lock everything into place. And you can see there are notches on the inside, meaning that they're going to need to fit into this hole here and this hole here, which will help lock in that shaft. So if we know that this is going to sit, and you can see the way this is fitting from the top based on how they're showing it, you want to be on either side of this. So if we look at how they're wanting you to put this on, I'm going to push, and the knot, it says pull it apart, and you heard the click. See how there, you can't see that open hole anymore? I can't pull this off anymore. It is now on there. But what will happen is if you decide you want to change the configuration and make this front wheel drive, you'll end up having to pop that off, and then you can pop this off, and then you can get the differential out and put it into the front end. But that is how that goes on. And then the last thing we've got to do is this bevel gear, the bevel pinion. So you can see they want you to slide that down there. It's got to fit onto a hole. There we go. Just like that down there. And they want you to grease it up. Now, I'm waiting for some bearings at this point, so I'm not going to grease this up just yet. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. And then once they arrive, I can do the next step and we'll grease it up at that point. So very, very cool. Ultimately, it's finished just other than the grease. So step 10 is done. So we'll be moving on to step 11 and working on the differential unit 2. So for step 11, the differential unit 2, well, this is where we're going to enclose our gearbox with these two pieces. And there are my bearings. They did arrive. So the one thing that we are going to do is, back in step 10, we needed to grease this bevel pinion gear. So we're going to do that first. Then we'll continue on, put our bearings on here. I won't be greasing them because they're bearings as opposed to the metal bushings. We'll enclose it, and then there are these two pieces that have to go on the outer parts of that enclosure. And of course they're showing that wherever you clip this off of the parts tree, you want to clip the bits off, which I've done. So I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So again, first thing we're going to do is grease up that bevel pinion gear that's down there. So I'm just going to squeeze and we will turn it as I go, using my finger on the other side to turn it. There we go. And I've got a fair bit on there, as you can see. So if we move on to enclosing this, you can see that we're going to need to hold this. I'm just trying to see which way is which. Pretty much either way is correct, but we're going to grab our differential, and you can see that they want you to grease this side. I'll do it anyway. I mean, we've got the bevel all greased up, but let's squeeze some here. And I'm not going to go too crazy because the bevel gear actually has a fair bit of grease that I've already put on. So that's good. That'll mix in with the bevel nicely. So we need to grab our two bearings. So one on this side, just like that. One on the other side, just like that. So we've got one there, and based on what we need to do here, if I look at just the way that is, in fact, you can see that this side has the placement so that the spur gear or the differential gear is going to be able to fit inside of that. If we do it this way, it isn't. So that's going to go in there like that. And of course the bearings will fit on either end. And then we're going to grab our cap piece, which is going to be that way so that the spur or the differential gear can fit over top of that. There it is. And what do? We've got us two screws, these MA3s that are going to come in from that side to seal it together. So we'll do just that. And same with the other side. And I'm just getting them in a little bit here first. Okay. Now I'm just going back and forth just to make sure, but this is going to be hard plastic, so once we do get to the end, you're going to know that you're at the end. There we go. I'm at the end, can't go any farther. I'm at the end, can't go any farther. So there is our differential unit. Now I am going to do one last check, just like what we did with the differential. I just don't want to, I want to make sure that nothing has caught or got something got, started to bind by enclosing this, and it's not. Everything is moving as it should. So I know that this will be okay to continue here. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to get these D6 parts onto here. Now, if the easiest way to see which way this goes, whether this or this, because it feels like it could fit any which way, is if you look at the shaping of this, the two ends have like squared sections. And if you look at this, you can see that there's those 4 points are going to match up with the 4 points on that gear housing. So it should sit like that. So if I put that on and push, you'll notice that the 4 points are on, or basically matching the circle in there. So same thing again with this. We know that for this needs to be this way, because you can see the 4 points each in the corners. And with this, we're gonna need, oh yeah, this side, it's gonna sit like that. So I can push, and there we go. It's as simple as that. So those ones just sit there. They're not screwed in or anything. So there we go. There is step 11 complete. So now we're going to move on to step 12 and work on attaching the rear upper arms.